Donald Trump set to announce plans to run for re-election tonight.
Working with the Ukrainian government, ways to use crypto to raise money.
If you lose in court, will this just be a broken promise?
President Trump is set to announce his candidacy for president for 2024 tonight. A major Democrat donor lost a gajillion dollars over the weekend. Student loan debt forgiveness, AOC talking about race and stuff, and more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Jobob. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
That might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually her name, Jobob.
Live from the dingy bunker, completely cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. On today, it is Tuesday, November 15th, the year of our Lord 2022. Lots to catch you up on. Over the weekend, a major, the second down from George Soros, Democrat donor, guy by the name of Sam Bankman-Fried? I'm not sure. Lost $16 billion. And I want to get to that first because I feel like there's a lot swirling around that story. I want to talk about that. But also, we got to talk about Trump's announcement. The Arizona race got called for the Democrat contender, whose name, honestly, I forget constantly because I don't think she campaigned at all. A lot to talk about, but I want to get to this first because I feel like this has some pretty big implications. And also, there is some talk a little bit about this being a money laundering scheme through Ukrainian money. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but I want to set this up on how it's all working. All right, so FTX. Have you heard of FTX? Probably not, because I was vaguely aware of it, and I don't want to say I'm pretty into the crypto world, but I have a good understanding, at least I think, of blockchain technology. I think it's a fantastic technology, has yet to be wielded in a correct way. Okay, all that aside, FTX is a cryptocurrency trading platform. However, given that it was cryptocurrency, it wasn't regulated by the government. There's a lot of talk that this guy, who is a major Democrat donor, I think he donated $100 million to Democrats in this midterm election. There's a lot of talk that he's going to cause the government to try and regulate cryptocurrency, which is the entire point the cryptocurrency is trying to make. Is just no regulation, free for all that sort of stuff. What happened was, and I don't want to bore you with all of these details because the Ukrainian stuff is fascinating. We'll talk about that in a second. What happened was this guy was effectively running a Ponzi scheme. They would take money. He was taking money out of FTX, which is the trading platform, putting it into either a nonprofit, I'm not sure, it was another third-party entity, and then rebuying the FTT, which was FTX's own cryptocurrency. And if you're confused by this, don't worry, I barely have a better understanding than you. Just know that this guy was running a Ponzi scheme, taking money out of the portfolios of FTX investors, putting it into a new company, and then having that money buy stock in his coin effectively. That's what was going on. That was a huge problem. There was another company called Binance, which is the biggest cryptocurrency trading platform in the world. I believe it's a Chinese company, but I could be wrong on that. So there was Binance, which is the biggest cryptocurrency trading platform, and FTX, which is the second biggest trading platform. Binance, early on, I think, bought a ton of FTT, which is the cryptocurrency founded by the FTX platform. 3 weeks ago, Binance, the biggest trading platform, decided they were going to take out their partner and started hemorrhaging shares of the FTT, which caused a run on the FTT coin, which caused FTX's platform to effectively collapse. The problem was, now markets collapse, companies collapse, that's a thing that happens. The problem was, in that entire process, the world found out that this guy, Sam Bankman-Fried, was taking money out of his platform from investors that had invested in his platform and moving it elsewhere. So when the investors, when Binance started a huge sell and there was a run on FTT, the investors in that cryptocurrency found out, well, wait, the money's gone. This guy stole all of the money. which leads us into the political side of that. Now, that's just a finance story, Wall Street type of stuff that happens more often than not. Bernie Madoff is probably the biggest, most recent, except for this dude, guy to funnel a Ponzi scheme around and take people's money and use it for other things and eventually lose it all. Not that interesting of a story. Here's what makes it interesting from a political standpoint. This guy was one of the biggest Democrat donors in the country. And by almost the big, I think he's number 2. There's like George Soros and then this dude, like $100 million, maybe even a couple $100 million donated to Democrats in their party. Now, here's where it gets interesting. And I know you're probably like, Jobob, the whole explanation of the cryptocurrency platforms was interesting enough. I can't handle more interesting. Here is where there is some conspiracy in the normal sense of the word. The word conspiracy gets misconstrued a lot. It's now this like, oh, this is crazy. No, but conspiracies are a real thing. Just FYI, when we use the word conspiracy, there are issues where people conspire. And the new conspiracy theory, not necessarily in that aloft conspiracy world, but like what people are actually thinking possibly could have happened in terms of conspiring to forward Democrat policies, is that this guy and FTX was very involved with Ukraine, why are there so many American companies and business people involved in Ukraine? Wow, some people in the comment section are already way ahead of me talking about Ukraine. So I'm going to play this clip from CNN. This is from a couple months ago, and then explain possibly, and again, I'm not saying this is true. I'm just saying that this is what's out there. And if it turns out to be true, this could be a big scandal, like among the biggest. Check out this clip from CNN about this dude talking about investing in Ukraine or getting Ukraine to invest in FTX and all that sort of stuff. And then we'll kind of tie the pieces together after this. Watch this. If you haven't already, would appreciate you clicking the little like button down here and the little share button. I think people need to know about this, especially when someone second to George Soros topples off of the Democratic mountain. I feel like it's newsworthy. So would appreciate you clicking the little share button or let us know in the comment section what you think. Nick says, can you say conspiracy one more time? I'm sorry. I know I sound repetitive. All right, let me play this video. We'll discuss on the other side. Check it out.
The last time we talked, we were talking about philanthropy, and I know you set up, working with the Ukrainian government, ways to use crypto to raise money for the government. I just wanted to ask you quickly, because obviously they've also changed the rules, concerns about sort of spillover effects and substitution away from their currency. Yep. How much money did you raise, and what do you think about this as a tool for the governments, but also the risks associated with it too?
Funds both to the government there, where we do have a relationship with the Ukrainian government for raising capital for them using cryptocurrencies that runs through FTX. Whether it's getting money to the government or whether it's getting money to individuals there in need. There are literally tanks outside of the banks, and this gets to, I think, one of the places where it can be really important to have a fully digital banking system. Fully digital, way of handling payments. And I think that's, an international one. That's the core of what we've been, helping to support in Ukraine.
Yeah, I think it's a healthy.
It goes on for a couple more minutes. It just kind of talks about that more. Bottom line is, Ukraine was working with FTX to decentralize I don't know what they were doing specifically, but there was money that seemed to be flowing from Ukraine into FTX, but also FTX into Ukraine, all that sort of stuff. Here's where the conspiracy is. Now, again, I want to make it abundantly clear that I don't know this to be true, and it'll unfold over the course of the next, couple weeks, couple months, and if it's a big scandal, possibly even the next couple years. The thought is the United States has sent $100 billion over to Ukraine, which is a lot of money going to help the war efforts, among other things. And again, that's a conversation for a different time, whether or not we should be doing that. There's lots of different opinions on that, but that's what's happening, right? We've sent a ton of money over to Ukraine. If then Ukraine was then sending some of that money back into FTX in order to try and it honestly could even be genuine. It could be that the Ukrainian officials were like, hey, cryptocurrency is where it's at. We need to decentralize. We need to unwind our banking system from physical locations. We need to unwind from Russia. And we want to go on the cryptocurrency. We believe in the blockchains. It could be an honest an honest move to try and make Ukraine more solvent. They then funnel that money into FTX. FTX CEO, Sam Bankman-Fried, this dude, like we said, and you can complete the story here, then turns around and donates a bagajillion dollars to the Democrat Party. Interesting. It is an interesting kind of conspiracy unfolding. Now, I would imagine that a bunch of people are going to extrapolate this to an extreme of like Democrats were in on it with Putin and he invaded because they decided that we're not going there. But what I will say is kind of interesting is that if Joe Biden had a relationship or any of the big Democrat heads had a relationship with this guy, which they do, by the way, that's how donors work. Effectively, if you're going to donate to a campaign or a nonprofit or whatever it is, yes, you're donating to the cause, but at the same time, donors are getting access to the politicians that they're donating to. That's the whole point of lobbying and donations. Hey, let me grab lunch with you when you're off the hill, and maybe we can discuss funding your campaign. That sort of thing. So to say that this guy, being the number 2 Democrat donor in the country, didn't have a relationship with some of your top Democrats in D.C. would be silly nonsense. The bottom line here is that we're going to have to watch this thing unfold and see how much of it was known at the time. Wow, yeah, this... a lot of money laundering comments here. Money laundering. John says money laundering. Naomi says money laundering. Maybe. Yeah. Yep. A bunch of kickbacks going on all the way through. So yeah, I don't know. This is going to be a fascinating thing to watch unfold, and I can't wait to see what happens here. Hopefully, the mainstream media won't ignore it as they do so often. All right, moving on. We'll keep you up to date on that story as it kind of unfolds and breaks. New things happening every single day. Here we go. Donald Trump's set to announce tonight something. I was looking for like photos or video of the event space, like through Twitter and Getter and all the social media platforms. I wasn't able to find any. And with that, it makes me curious how hastily these events are kind of thrown together. By that, I mean like logistically, like getting the stage there and the podium and the lights and the flags and all of the things going on. Anyways, Donald Trump is set to make an announcement. I think it's at Mar-a-Lago, if I'm not mistaken. And I very much could be mistaken. I'm not following this like super closely. I'm assuming that whatever he says is going to reach my ears in some way, shape, or form. But at 9 p.m. Eastern, Donald Trump is set to make an announcement. Pretty much everybody in the country and around the world thinks that announcement is going to be that he is running for president of the United States in 2024, and that's that. I wanted to play this clip. This is from everyone's favorite news channel, MSNBC. And by everyone's favorite news channel, I mean like 0 people's favorite news channel. I think they have better ratings than CNN, but I don't. I watch MSNBC so that I can bring clips like this to you, but not because I love the policy stances that MSNBC takes. I'm a big Rachel Maddow fan. You guys caught me. That's it. I have a Rachel Maddow tank top that I wear to the beach with her face on it, and that's why I watch MSNBC. Anyways, MSNBC is. Wow, some of the comments are interesting. Okay, MSNBC is not a right-leaning channel, but they do have a guy named Joe Scarborough on there who is a former Republican congressman, I believe from Florida. And he kind of makes some cases he kind of tries to say what a lot of the people on the conservative side of the aisle, including the Wall Street Journal, is. Now, I'm going to play this clip. Now, just so you know, I'm not sure where I land on this. I'm just playing for you what's out there and who's saying what regarding Trump running for president in 2024. Check this out, and we'll discuss on the other side. Hey, let me know in the comment section too, before we play this really quick, if you could let us know in the comment section what you think, but also click the little like button that's down here, especially if you're watching on Facebook. It really, really does help us out. I see a couple thousand of you watching this right now. And also click the little share button because, I don't know. I feel like this is a cool show. Share it with your friends. Anyways, check this out from MSNBC. Kind of interesting.
You have the Wall Street Journal editorial page basically, begging Republicans to move on, because this is a path to a permanent Republican minority. Trump is a path to one loss after another. Others actually even said it before the election. A lot of very conservative right-wing hosts said it before the election and said we have to move on. But some Republicans still can't do that.
So that is, again, Joe Scarborough on MSNBC talking about Trump. He does make a good point that there were several talk show hosts. I don't know if I officially said this, but I definitely said, I don't know. I commented on other people commenting on it. Matt Walsh, I think, was the big one that I saw. If you don't know Matt Walsh's act, he's over on the Daily Wire. He has got the What is a Woman documentary. Cool guy. But he was out and proud. Hey, let's have Trump take a step back. And I'm reading some of the comments in the comment section, and this is kind of interesting. Jeff says Trump is coming back with a big thumbs up. So I would imagine that Jeff is excited for Trump to make his announcement there. David, on the other hand, says should hold off, I would assume, regarding Trump's announcement. Cliff says Scarborough is 100% a rhino. Yeah, I can see that argument being made. And Marcel says MSDNC. That's a funny change of acronym for MSNBC. But I think the most important comment here, and I'm glad that I'm not alone, is Ray saying, "Oh, dang, I love wearing my Rachel Maddow tank top to the beach." Me too, Ray. Me too. So it's going to be interesting. Newsmax is going to carry it. Actually, everybody's probably going to carry it live. I was, I'm sure Fox, Newsmax, Real America's Voice, OAN. I'm sure even CNN is probably going to carry it live. Maybe even MSNBC. Because, I don't know, people love to, especially on those channels, the MSNBCs and CNN of the world, love to hate Donald Trump and like to watch him and hate him in the flesh. Wow, lots of people talking about my love for Rachel Maddow in the comments section. And, that was a private thing until now, and I know I disclosed it myself, but I would appreciate my massive crush on Rachel Maddow being, not the forefront of the conversation. So anyways, that's going to be interesting. Donald Trump's set to announce tonight, probably that he's running for president. But again, it's Trump. Jonathan Swan of Axios, who was like the first one to break the story that he's got 3 sources inside the Trump office saying that he's going to run for president, put it best when he said, but it's also Trump, so anything could happen. This could be that he's agreed to buy Getter and absorb it with Truth Social, or I don't know. It could be an announcement that he's building a new hotel in Austria. I don't know. Obviously, 99.99999% of people think that he's announcing for president, but like Jonathan Swan said, it's Trump, so you never know. Let's get to this. Let's save AOC for the end here. Who the heck is Katie Hobbs? Yesterday, I was on the Getter live stream hosting Isabel Brown's daily stream, which thanks, Isabel, for trusting me. And also, I would advise against trusting me again because I'm not sure how that went. But while I was on the stream, NBC announced that they were calling the Arizona gubernatorial race for Katie Hobbs. And my reaction to that was, who the heck is Katie Hobbs? Obviously, I'm aware of the race in Arizona. And I was kind of being silly when I asked that question. But the point I'm trying to make here is that Katie Hobbs did not run really any campaign in Arizona. Now, does Arizona have a big magnified importance on who's the governor there? I don't necessarily think so. I think like 2.5 million people voted. But what is fascinating about this whole story is that Katie Hobbs is the Secretary of State of Arizona. The Secretary of State in pretty much all of the states runs the elections, and not only did not campaign at all, but I don't know, it was actually a huge presence on the scene of politics, even in the state of Arizona. I spent a lot of time in Arizona. That's where Turning Point USA is headquartered, and was pretty familiar with Kari Lake and their whole operation over there, the Republicans in Arizona. And the problem here is the election process. I feel like I've talked about this to death, but this is exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to trusting the election. Look, Democrats are going to win, Republicans are going to win. Maybe some independents were going to win, and who knows if libertarians will ever win. But the bottom line is different people win different elections, right? That just goes without saying. And sometimes the country can take a turn to the left and a turn to the right, but at the end of the day, hopefully this experiment in self-governance will work itself out and work the problems through. The problem here is whether or not people believe the election. Now, I'll say this at the onset of this. It could very well be that Katie Hobbs won. I don't know. And that's the problem. I don't know. Maricopa County has a lot of problems with its internal voting system. And we found out about this election. Now, mind you, only in super rare cases throughout the past, 100 years did people not know. Well, maybe not 100 years, because I feel like telephones really helped the process go along. But when you had voting stations where people voted in person, they showed their ID to prove they were eligible to vote. People registered to vote and then voted on election day, put their ballot in the box, and then it was counted by hand in front of poll observers. There was no question on whether or not the election was stolen or anything like that. Now, my history buffs out there are probably yelling at their screens, "What about Kennedy v. Nixon?" That's a different thing. We're not talking about that right now. The bottom line is, pretty much throughout the entire history of elections in the United States, nobody's really distrusted the count. Only when one particular side of the aisle has tried to make elections more open and available to everyone have people finally started questioning the results of the elections, and for good purpose. Yesterday, I went on this big, long tirade on Isabel's stream. And again, Isabel, I'm sorry for doing that. But I think it went on like a 30-minute thing about how somebody could conceivably cheat when you litter the state with mail-in ballots, as they do in California. Again, I don't know a single person that would do anything like that. I'm just saying, hypothetically, this would feasibly be possible, and that is, in fact, the problem. Whether or not your candidate wins, chances are it's going to end up being fine. If they go too far to one side, the side that you don't like, generally speaking, you've scored some electoral points, and you can get your person in office, and they can either undo or redo or whatever they want to do when they're in office. But if you don't believe the election, we don't have a country. And that's the biggest problem here with this gubernatorial race in Arizona. Again, like I said, I don't know who actually won. The problem is that it took 6 days to count, and the person running is in charge of running the election. And I don't believe she recused herself entirely from that process. So this is the issue that we have to overcome. This needs to be a big bipartisan issue that everybody needs to be on board with. We have to believe the elections. Look, I'm all about giving people access. It shouldn't be super difficult to vote, but at the same time, it shouldn't be incredibly easy to where I can commit voter fraud and probably not be charged with anything or anything like that. In the state of California, the largest state in the union population-wise, there are 2 people in the Secretary of State's office that check for voter fraud, which is not a big number. So there's that. I don't know. They still haven't even counted all of the votes there, but they're saying polling-wise, it looks like what's her name? Katie Hobbs will effectively win. Also, too, sorry, this is going off on a tangent here. I saw a bunch of friends that I like. I love these people to death, but they are on my side of the political aisle, and they were sharing things that I was like, I don't know about that. They shared the Instagram follower counts. Katie Hobbs has like 9,000 Instagram followers. Carrie Lake has like 450 something thousand followers. And sharing that as evidence of like, there's no way the person with 9,000 followers beat the person with 100 or 400 something thousand Instagram followers. That's a bad argument. And again, if you shared that sort of thing and you're watching this now and we're friends, I would still like to be friends. But that's a bad argument for a lot of reasons. I specifically ran a gubernatorial campaign in California where my candidate had like 500,000 Facebook followers, and we spent a bunch of money there and maybe could have spent it in better places and did not get through the primary, even though we had, I think, literally 20 times more Facebook followers than our competitor. Bottom line is that doesn't really make that big of a difference. And I think Republicans, well, really everybody should be cautious about basing their entire campaign on their internet online following numbers, because that is not entirely the way that people vote. Anyways, so to get onto this last thing I want to talk about today, touch on before we bounce off of here, let me see if there's any comments in the comment section. John makes a good point that, yeah, we made too. Doesn't the Secretary of State, this Katie Hobbs person, run the elections, oversee the elections? Yeah. Marcel says, same day voting, period. Ryan says we need to make a national law to make ballot harvesting illegal. Yeah, I don't know how that would work. First of all, I agree. I think ballot harvesting is a terrible way to run elections. But at the same time, the Constitution pretty much explicitly states that states have the right to run elections however they see fit. So I don't know if making a law that bans ballot harvesting is constitutional, considering that the states have dominion over how they run their elections. So that's a good question. I would love to talk to a constitutional attorney to see if that's possible. Oh, Morgan says hi. Hey, Morgan. I work with Morgan. She's cool. I like her. Hi. Anyways, looking at some of the comments here, trying to figure out, I don't know, where people stand on this sort of thing. All right, let's get to this. AOC putting race in the race. I thought this was just kind of an interesting clip, and it's apropos of nothing really, but it just kind of tells you where a lot of the mindset is for your hard lefties that are, I don't know, trying to maintain their power. Watch this clip. This is an interview on CNN that she did a couple days ago talking about the outcome of the midterms. And she throws the race card into it, which I just feel like at this point is actually racist. Briefly going back to the previous commentary, Ryan also says, has anything Democrats done been constitutional? That's also a good point. The whole student loan thing, the CDC making it illegal for people to evict tenants during the whole, after the whole COVID thing. That's a very good point. Anyways, watch this. This is from one Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or Sandy, the bartender from New York. Check it out.
It's important to identify ourselves strongly as who we are. I think Tim Ryan ran a phenomenal race. Mandela Barnes ran a great race. I think there are racial dynamics in that race that need to be discussed in terms of how Republicans targeted a black man running in that race. And I think that needs to be just put out there.
Okay. AOC basically saying Republicans targeted a black man who was running. Okay, well, did he have the same beliefs and ideas that they have? Because if not, it doesn't matter what his race is. Doesn't matter what his gender is. Doesn't matter what his religious beliefs are. But in terms of would he run the government in the way that agrees with your ideology, that's kind of the only thing that matters. And to say that, well, they attacked him because he's black doesn't really lend itself to this whole idea of everybody is equal. If you didn't attack him for his ideology just because he was black, that would be racist, right? See how that works? If you don't attack a candidate who doesn't believe the same thing's ideology as you, if you disagree with them ideologically, but go, oh, well, hold on, he he is black, so I don't know if this is okay. That would make you racist, because guess what? Black people are just as smart as Asian people, who are just as smart as white people, who are just, everybody is the same in this world. And smart might not have been the best term to use there, but I'm talking about equality. Everybody is equal in the United States of America. And to assume that you can't go after a particular person because the amount of pigment they have in their skin is racist. Anyways, wow, lots of fun comments here. Lots of comments on AOC being a bartender. Sorry, that stuff makes me mad. And I've gone off on this a couple times. If you're prioritizing skin color over everything else, people tend to start questioning the credibility or the ability of that particular person. Be good at your job or don't. Be a good candidate that people want to vote to or don't. Your race, your gender, your ethnicity does not matter to me at all. Are you for spending less money at the federal level? And that's about it. That's effectively what the federal government does. They allocate funds. And so if you are for that, I don't care what color you are, I will probably vote for you. And if you are against that, it doesn't matter who you are. I will target whoever I need to target politically and ideologically, regardless of their race. Thomas says, is she voting for Herschel? I don't think AOC can vote in the Georgia elections, but that's a good question. It's a good question. All right, that's going to do it for us today. I appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. The next couple days is going to be interesting. I am going to try to. I've got a thing that I was gonna take the Trump announcement live and comment on it in the process, but I don't feel like doing that. And by I don't feel like doing that, I mean I have obligations that I got to get to tonight. But let's see, I'm on a plane tomorrow to Atlanta, so I'm going to try and record tomorrow morning's episode like late tonight or before I leave. So it won't technically be live, but we're going to have a bunch of all of the clips that you need to see from the Trump announcement. Maybe you would like to watch the Trump announcement in real time on the news live, but also you can trust that here at the Daily Caller live show, we will have all of the highlights and clips that you need to see to not spend, an hour and a half, however long he's going to talk, watching the former president speak. So we'll get to that. I don't know what the rest of the week looks like. I've got a comedy show in Kentucky. Oh, by the way, there's the announcement there. You've got a comedy show in Kentucky. If you live in Kentucky, I've got two comedy. If you live in Moorhead or around the general vicinity of Moorhead, we've got a comedy show on Moorhead State on tomorrow night. That'll be fun. And then the next day we are going to Bowling Green. So if you live in Bowling Green or know somebody who lives in Bowling Green and they'd like to attend said comedy show, we'll be at Western Kentucky University on Thursday. And then I don't entirely know when we're going to shoot this show or episodes, because we'll figure it out together. And if you don't see me until Monday live and in person, have a great weekend. But anyways, if you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. Would appreciate you doing so. Just type in JOBOB pretty much anywhere on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Getter, True Social, all of them, all of the social media platforms. Would love to get a follow on any of those. And continue the conversation. I pretty much get back to most of my Instagram messages. If you have messaged me in the last couple days, I haven't, because I don't know, there were a lot and plentiful, and I'm lazy sometimes. And we're redoing our bathroom, which has taken a lot of man hours from myself. So I don't know why I decided to tell you that. Anyways, appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. God bless America.